Welcome everyone back to our demo day. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you really simple, quick knit in order to make a nice little Christmas gift that you could felt. And so the nice thing I thought about this project is because it doesn't actually have to fit you. So you can throw it in a front loading washing machine and you don't have to worry about if you could put it in once or twice, depending on how well you would like it felted. So it's just a little flower bowl and you can see it looks like that. So if you'd like to go ahead and change the screen, Susan, for me. We're gonna start with the pattern is a felted flower bowl. Did you hit record? Okay. And we are going to, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and Susan will put all the links in for you. And if you would mind staying muted during the presentation, and then we will ask you to unmute afterwards. So we start with this pattern, and it calls for a size 10-inch, 16-inch circular needle. So you could either do a needle, just a 16-inch needle, but I really like these short tips because then I have all of my needles and then they will fit. These work really well on a 16 or a 20-inch cable. And this is what this little kit looks like here, the Dreams interchangeable circulars. And then that's called special because they have shorter tips so that they fit on the smaller cords and they work better. Also, to finish this off, you're going to need a set of double points also in size 10. And so this is, we have this, but we also, I believe, have these short needles and double pointed needles in our Knitter's Pride ribbons, if you like that brand too. So those are the tools that you need. I also like to use a row counter. This helps me keep track of which row I'm on as I go. Also, I really like sticky notes, but as you can see on this particular pattern, like rounds 4, 5, and 6 are all the same. So when I have patterns like this, I like to use the row counter, and it helps me keep track of where I am in my pattern. So what we're going to do is we start off first with, we are going to first do the outside of, so we work this from the outside and we get smaller and smaller till the middle. So it's kind of like a hat, it's just a little bit different shape. So you cast on, it's like casting on a hat, and then we just keep decreasing and decreasing till we get in the smaller place. Now this little nice little scalloped edge here is created from we do basically decreases and increases, and that makes the nice little scallop edge. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing I did is I've just followed the pattern here, and it says to cast on, let's see here, cast on 90 stitches, and you join it in the round and you place a marker. So I went ahead and did my first row, which is a purl row. I did the second row, which is a knit row. And now I'm on round 3, which is how we're going to start the scalloped edge. And so I wanted to show you just a little bit about how to do this. Now you can change colors, add colors, all kinds of things. The best yarn to use for felting is our Cascade 220. And I've just brought down a few of my colors I thought would be real pretty here. We have, your traditional Christmas colors, but you could do this in anyone's favorite colors. Now this one I did in purple. I'm doing this one in blue. And then at the very end, I'll show you how to finish it off. And I've done like a Christmas colors one here. So we have the Cascade 220 is a great yarn. And the other yarn that I really like to use for felting is this Lamb's Pride worsted. And this looks really nice because this yarn has mohair in it. So when you felt it, it gives it a little bit of a halo, and it looks really pretty. So I just brought a couple of colors for you to see, and we have a large selection of all the colors. So those are the yarns we have in the shop that work best for felting. So I'm going to do round 3, and it says I'm going to knit 2 together 3 times, and then I'm going to knit front and back 6 times, and then knit 2 together 3 times, and I'm going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to start off by knitting 2 together, and this is not a decrease row, this is just a shaping row. So I'm going to start off by just starting to shape my my little bowl with the knit two together. And then I'm going to do knit front and back 6 times. So I'm going to knit in the front, and then I'm going to reach around and I'm going to knit in the back. Oops. And you can change colors at any time that you want to change colors. It's completely up to you. How I just randomly change colors. You could stripe them real easy. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. I can't count and talk at the same time. So here we have our number 4, knit front, back, knit in the front, knit in the back, and you do that again. I think that's 6. And then we're going to do knit 2 together 3 times, and that completes one of our repeats. So knit 2 together. I slipped off my needle here. Knit 2 together, and then 1 more. And that completes my repeat. So now I just repeat that all the way around. Now the other thing is that you will want to have some stitch markers handy. Stitch markers are your friend. So I have a different color here than I started my beginning. This is my beginning of round marker. And then I have another different color just to help me keep on track. So this is as you're going, then you can make sure that you do all of your repeats right. And if you make a mistake in between them, you'll know right away because your stitch markers aren't lining up, or your repeats aren't lining up with your stitch markers. So you just repeat that all the way around. It's a pretty simple pattern. And you get started with that shaping. So I do want to show you, so I'm going to set this one aside and come to this one now. And let's see here. So our knit 2 togethers and our knit front and backs, our knit 2 togethers created this shaping, and our knit front and backs is what makes that scalloped edge. And you just continue to do that. And you do this until then around, let's see, around 11, you start decreasing. And so one of the things that you do in your decrease is, I just want to demonstrate this real quick. In the decrease, it has you to do a knit 3 together. And a knit 3 together is exactly like a knit 2 together, only you're going to do 3 stitches at the same time instead of 2. So I'm going to insert my needle into 3 stitches. It's pretty tight and it's kind of hard to get in there, but you just do a knit 3 together just like that. And you continue to follow the pattern with, because it'll say knit 3 together twice, and then you knit front and back 6 times. And so this is where you're going to start actually doing some decreasing. So you start off bigger and you kind of start decreasing as you go in the center. So that way it gets smaller and smaller, and you start big here and then you keep decreasing until you just have a few stitches left here on the bottom. But what I wanted to show you, I'm right now on round 16, and this is my beginning of the round here. And what I wanted to show you was I'm at a point where it's getting pretty tight on my 16-inch circular needle. So now I need to switch to double pointed needles. And so all I would do is I'm going to do round 16, and I'm just supposed to knit all my stitches. And so it's kind of easier to, if you're going to switch to double pointed needles, just do it on a round where you're just going to be knitting and you don't have to do any decreasing. So all I did was I started with knitting with one of my double pointed needles. And so as I knit this round, I'm going to transfer this to my double pointed needles. And so I think I need 2 repeats on this needle, 1 repeat on the next needle, and then 2 repeats on the following needle. And so I'm going to leave the stitch marker here because this is the end of my repeat. And I'm going to just knit on through here, and I'm going to show you. I just want to knit this full around so you can see how I'm going to get this off of my 16-inch circular and onto my double pointed needles. So I just knit around, and you need to be working with at least 3 actually you end up working with 4 double pointed needles because you have to be working it at least in a triangle to make your double pointed needles work. Or you could always use 2 circulars or magic loop if you like that method. I'm going to go ahead and remove this stitch marker because I'm going to switch needles. I have 2 repeats on that needle. And so I'm just going to join here. And I'm just going to start knitting with my second double pointed needle. And I'm going to put 1 repeat right on here. So this is a lot like knitting a hat where you start big and you can usually start on a circular needle. And then when you get down to the crown, you have to switch to a double pointed needle. All right, so I got 1 repeat on here and now I have 2 repeats left. All I do is just start with my 3rd double pointed needle. And I've now, once I complete this round, I'll have this all on double points and I can continue on knitting in my pattern and continue decreasing all the way until the end. So that's how you're going to do that. So then when I come back around here and I have this all on my double pointed needles, I would just start knitting with my 4th double pointed needle. And so that will help keep me on track here. Okay, so let me remove this one. And the other thing you'll need is tapestry needle. I forgot to put that on my list, but you'll need a tapestry needle because what you do is you continue in your pattern all the way around until you get to round 28 and it says you knit 2 together all the way around and you should have 10 stitches remaining. So right here I have 4 stitches, 2 stitches and 4 stitches. So I have 10 stitches remaining. And so you're going to then at that time cut your yarn. And I just feed it onto a tapestry needle. And then I'm going to feed my tapestry needle through each of these stitches, just like this is how you finish off the crown of a hat too. So if you've not ever knit in the round or made a hat, this is exactly how you do it. So I feed these stitches onto my yarn, onto my tapestry needle, and I just go all the way around and bring those in. And so as I tighten this up, then I won't have that hole in the center anymore. See, you can just tighten that up. And so then I'm going to take my yarn, my end here, and I'm going to pull it as tight as possible. And I'm going to poke this through the center and I'm going to bring it around to the back. Okay, and I'm going to pull that tight, so because I don't want a hole there. And then all you do is you start weaving in this end. So when you're doing felting, the traditional way to do felting, you can do it by hand, but the easiest way is to do it in a washing machine. And the best way is to do it with one of those old washing machines that we decided we didn't want anymore, that was very computerized, and it was a top loader, because what to felt something is you need to actually have the agitation and you need to have hot water. So, but most of us don't have those kind of washing machines anymore. And so it's kind of hard to, so I just weave that in a little bit. So it's kind of hard to do these fun felting projects when you don't have anywhere to felt them. But because this is not a garment and it doesn't need to fit you, this works really great. So what I did was I felted this one in my front loading washing machine. And so just so you know that the knit side is going to be the outside of our bowl. So you can see size wise, hopefully you can see this on camera, it's pretty big before you felt it. And so this is how it looks like when you start, and this is how it looks like when you finish. But I just put I put this in like a washing bag, one of those garment washing bags, and I threw it in my top loading washing machine. And most of the time when you do felting, you don't actually want to run it through the agitation, but a lot of times on our top loaders, we can't stop it, or excuse me, the front loaders, we can't stop our washing machine and get in it. But with this, because it doesn't really need to fit you and it doesn't yet necessarily need to be a certain size. It you don't actually have to worry too much about it. So I threw this in a garment bag. I threw it in with some old towels and I put my water on hot, and I just went ahead and ran this through the washer. Now I did run it through the spin cycle. When you're actually doing something like a purse or some slippers or something, you want to avoid the spin cycle when you're felting, because it can put like creases and dents in your projects, and you really don't want that. And I think I actually ran this through 2 times to get it felted the way I wanted it. And the thing about felting is when it's wet, that's when you shape it. So then I took, after I was done with my 2 cycles of washing, then I took it and I put this on a bowl. So I just wrapped this around a bowl, just a bowl from my kitchen, and I just wrapped this around the bowl and then I let it dry. So once you let it dry, that's what does the shaping. And then if you have any leftover, so if you see here, I just kind of left some a little bit longer ends here. And then when you're done felting, if you have any of these ends left, you can just cut them off. So that's a really fun and easy Christmas project. You could do it in everyone's favorite colors. You could do a cute little Christmas bowl that would just sit and collect your keys or something like that. But it does shrink in size about 1/3 of the way, I believe is what they say. And so it looks kind of big and loose here, but this is what you end with after you shrink it. And you get, it's a pretty thick fabric is what you end up with when you're felting. So do you have any questions? You want to switch the camera view, or are there? You're welcome to unmute if you have any questions. No questions? So let's see, up next we have our good friend Jan, and she's going to show how to do some cross stitching on just a traditional stocking that you could actually embellish just an already made stocking, or you could make a stocking and embellish it with some cross stitching. And let's see, she's supposed to be now. So how about if we come back in about 10 minutes at about 11:30 and we actually start with Jan. Up on the top. Stop.